This is the Simpit. I'm your host, Sean Cole, but the real star of today's show, once again, is the Fanatec Podium DD2 Wheelbase. Very pumped up, be testing it in yet another sim. This time it's Project Cars 2. We just had a little trouble with Codemasters F1 2018. Little inversion problem on my pedals. Nothing to do with the wheel. It was all on the pedals. A little frustrating, but we're going to go back to it. I'm sure we'll be able to get that resolved. It's one of those things that just, it's finicky, but I'm sure we'll be able to get that working. So we'll give Codemasters another shot, I'm sure. But now we are here. You know, earlier in the week I threatened that I was going to try that Caterham at Osher's Blend, Lebanon. Oh my God, where's my disclaimer for murdering track names? But we're going to give that a shot. So real quick, before we do, you're looking at the Podium Wheelbase page on Fanatec's website. That's what I'm using here with the old Formula style rim, the original with some magnetic shifters. So that's the only wheel I'm using for testing. That's the only thing. I'd like to have a round wheel for certain things, maybe even like this car, but that doesn't matter. The other thing I want to show you is I did get the proper settings for Project Cars 2. Found out also I probably had the wrong settings for F1 2018, but we never even got to that point. So we will put in the right settings. But this is what we've done here. You can see where it's sensitivity. Actually, it called for 1080. I put it down to 540. That's my personal preference for Project Cars 2. We can argue that point on a different show. They recommend 1080. FF at 40, SHO at 100, FOR at 100, SPR at 100, DPR at 100, NDP at 25, NFR at 5, and FEI at 100. Those are the settings that we are using. And then they do actually, oh, you know what? I didn't do that part. Okay, I guess you guys get to do a little fun with me. So let's go to controls. And what we want to do is so you're getting to kind of see what Fanatec's recommending as far as getting this set up. So they want us to select a Fanatec V2, apparently. So let's, oh, we're not going to be able to do it. You know what? It does not take long to get out of this game. So let's leave real quick. Sorry. Hey, Smooth! Avengers hype is nothing compared to the Simpit stream. Has anybody seen Avengers yet? I heard like sold out shows at 2 in the morning kind of thing when it comes to that. Let me bring the keyboard. Sorry about putting you guys through this, but one of my attitudes or angles on these streams was you guys kind of getting to get in the hot seat with me of what it's like to start testing. It's not always as simple as you'd like it to be. So we're going to use Fanatec's recommendations, and we are going to go to a Fanatec V2, not even V2.5. I'm assuming there is no 2.5 in. Look at the old 911 wheels. That's pretty funny. Remember those? Pedal type is separate, yes. Clutch manual, and then on configuration, where was the part? Here we go. Flavor should be raw. Gain should be 100. Volume should be 60. Tone 50. FX 50. So that is the recommended in-game settings. The raw flavor, gain of 100, volume 60, 50-50 on tone and FX. And under control scheme, we are setting it up as a CSW V2. This could change when they finish their software suite, but for now, these are the recommended. I'm sorry? Oh, thank you, Doug. That's why my buddy, in fact, that is the pit crew. Those are my good buddies hanging out. They've been working with me and playing with this with me all night long. So anyway, here are the settings. So again, flavor raw, gain 100, volume was 60, tone 50, FX 50, menu spring strength, well, that won't matter. And then under the control scheme, we have it as a Fanatec CSW V2 separate pedals. That's just whether you have 1 or 2 axis on your pedals or 3. So that should have us all set up there. And overwrite, yes. And now we are going to go back to our community event. Luckily, this loads fairly quickly on this system. And we'll get this underway. So if you want to play along at home, you can go do the community event in the Caterham. See where you stand on the leaderboard. These guys are really fast. I did look at the leaderboard once, and I was like 18 seconds off the pace. So we're going to have to improve that. It is a fixed setup, so you can use their stable or their loose, or I can't remember what they call their third setup. Since I mentioned it, we got to go look, right? Loose, stable, and OEM. We're going to go with loose. Generally speaking, that works better for me. And let's go, go, go. We'll do an audio check fairly quickly just to make sure that the mix is decent. Hey. Oh, I got to recap. When I changed the wheel type, it removed my assignments. Whoopsie daisy. All right. We're going to have to go back out. Sorry, sorry, sorry. The fun of testing. The fun of new products. Anybody who has gotten themselves a new setup of any kind can relate to this, because this is just the fun of a new thing. Hey, whoops, did I exit the game? I'm such a dip. Man, now you guys can see my game list. Gorn. Has anybody played Gorn? No? No takers on Gorn, huh?
Just the Swordmaster.
I played that one. I have to replay that one now that I have a little more space to work with.
Yeah, you need a lot of space for that one. Really helps. It's the fastest I've ever seen Jesse move since I've known him.
What did they say about you in the Marines, Jesse?
You move like old people.
All right, brake. There we go. Clutch. There we go. Oh, it assigned all sorts of things when I told it a CSW. This is gonna be kind of gonna be kind of weird. We're gonna do that next. I like the idea. I just kind of like the idea of getting in on the leaderboard stuff.
Oh, yeah. But you have to use a V2 in order to get to map up to the other one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Alright.
Easy to figure out.
Let's hope I mapped enough. I'm just keeping it simple right now since we're just testing. I only mapped the critical things, but I think that's all I need for this. Hey, Max. Max, don't step on that wire. That will be critical to the stream. No, Gorn! Gorn, Bucho! Oh. Oh, my stream's getting pulled right now because I'm playing the music of Project Cars 2. Lovely. There goes another one. 0 for 2 on a Saturday.
Do a quick restart if you want.
They call me Red. Did I forget to mount my throttle? No, I got it. I see gas. I didn't get a gear shift. I see brake. I got left and right. I got force feedback. I'm not getting gear shifts, though. Shoot. Sean Dipstick Cole. Why am I automatic clutch on? What's going on? Why is it not shifting? Is it because I have manual gears assigned?
You gotta use a clutch.
No, I tried the clutch. It was ignoring that. Aye. This one. How do you unbind?
No, you said I'm laughing at Brandon. That means the Leaderboard Channel, by the way. Really?
Oh, I'm getting really frustrated. I quit.
Where it's always something goofy when you first get X-rated. And Sean, you got a couple donations, I say.
How am I getting donations during this suckfest? Thank you so much. Oh, Bucho from Bucho, thank you very much. Thank you. I don't have a shifter on. I don't know where it's getting this idea and why it mapped a shifter. Smooth, thank you. I think thanks Smooth, but thank you again, Smooth. Thank you, Doug. I'm not even seeing. Where is the shifting on stupid project cars? No, it's not them. I'm being stupid, is what it is. Auto clutch is on.
Sean, just go to like where it goes, get up, get down in the assignments. You're right there.
Say again?
You were right there when you actually had like you're up, you're down, like this assignments. That's where you change.
Yeah, but I can't unmap the gears that it thinks I have because I don't know where it's getting this idea that I have gears.
If you click on Joy 4, what happens? What happens?
Click on Joy 4?
Yeah, where you're in at assignments, says gear up, it's like Joy 4 is after that, and then gear down is Joy 5.
Yeah, I've mapped those two. The gear up, gear down, I mapped them. And then it has all the first gear and everything mapped to buttons on the wheel.
That's not good.
Because I did the control scheme telling it's a V2, and it's like, oh, here, we'll map everything.
Try not using a V2 thing and see if it actually works. Like it's a custom wheel.
Yeah.
That's what you can try next, because
Wow. I'm gonna go to bed now.
go hit the aquas and forget about it, John. You'll be alright. Don't show you see, Clover. Shut up. Nice comeback.
it mapped button controls to the H pattern. But I don't have an H pattern plugged in right now. It's because it was because it did that. What? Yeah, it did all of the settings, so it mapped every control. Then in this car, Project Cars wanted stick shift, I guess. Yep, there we go. We're fine. Okay, now we're cooking with fire. Now, I am not a super pro at Osher's Leben. Alright, so what are we feeling? We've got a little bit of tension off of center. Not heavy, not in like a center spring type of a way, but more of a feeling like the car. So it's not fighting you like a center spring does. Feeling a little bit of the bumpiness of the road. We're a little muted right now. I'm getting a little bit of looseness, little bit of grass effect there. Invalid lap. Definitely feeling some reverse effects when we're crisscrossing the wheel, throwing the body weight of the car around a little bit. Definitely felt it there through the chicane as well. Felt the tank slapper in the wheel, force feedback, letting you know you were throwing the weight around. A little precursor to being loose. Whoa, a little bit of kick out of the grass. Felt that in the wheel. Might have felt a little delayed, perhaps, but don't quote me on that. We're just kind of getting acquainted, getting used to it. You know, you got to get used to a new wheel. It doesn't just feel magical out of the wheel until you calibrate your brain to get the most out of it. Alright, definitely want to drop third gear in that final corner. We're killing two birds with one stone right now. We are trying the wheel with Project Cars 2. In addition to that, I wanted to see what I could do on this leaderboard. Even though this is maybe not my favorite car in the world, it's a very peculiar car. Got to be a little more patient on the gas there. Whoa, whoa. This is a loose little car. It's loose when you can get the power to the rear wheels, and it actually has a little bit of understeer at other times. Oh, this is the double turn. Forgot where I was on the track. You can actually feel the up and down a little bit in the wheel. You can see the tremendous amount of movement in the suspension on this car. Let's try to get a little curbing if we can turn in early enough. Didn't feel, I think these might just be painted. Not sure if these are... Oh, we definitely felt the wheel pull us to the left as we got more friction on the left side of the car with that off-road excursion. Yeah, this rotation feels much better than 1080. Felt it pull there as well. The world record is a 131. That was a 146, by the way. That is a long corner. Definitely felt the wheel kick out there as we slid off the corner. Turn in earlier for that one. Whoa, that gave me an off track. Shoot. Yeah, I'm not getting a lot of action out of Project Cars. Getting some effect of the rear end. So that rear end moving around, that front end too. It's not just the rear end, but this car seems very rear end happy. So you're getting those steerable forces, the force feedback you want as far as driving the car aspects. Not getting much out of the lockup brake. Force feedback strength right now is probably about perfect as far as overall strength goes. Slowed it down too much there, okay? You are just sliding it. I can see where I'm losing time. I'm sure the fast guys know exactly when to slide and roll that car. So as I was saying, I'm not getting a lot of texture noise in terms of like road noise. I'm feeling bumps. Not a lot of liveliness in the wheel compared to, but that's as much sim related as it is wheel related, I believe. But like I said, I'm getting the necessary driving force feedback. But now we're getting into an argument on semantics about force feedback and different sims. That's why we're going to try them all out before we make judgment, you know. And again, I'm showing you guys what it's like in the driver's seat of being a tester / reviewer, where you're going to have to work on getting your settings dialed in, getting everything to where you want it to be, before you can actually start performing. And with that, before you can start forming an actual opinion. How does this compare? I don't know. Any wheel you'd ask me to compare it to, I spent months getting dialed in, getting just right. And so if you're asking me my opinion against a completely dialed in wheel, I don't know if that's a fair ask. I certainly can't give you a good answer. Kind of hard to see with that mirror in the center of my car. Turn. Alright, that should be better than the previous lap. $140. 9 seconds off. Definitely feeling the rear end move though. I like that effect. It's very necessary for performance. Felt the difference of when I was loose of when the rear end hit the curb and got a little extra kick even. Oh. Fun track combo once you get used to it. Car's a little squirrely and definitely a little odd handling compared to many other cars. So it does take a moment to get used to. Whoa. Whoa, don't take that. No, 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 no. You just screwed a good lap. You ass clown. Alright, I'm going to say the force feedback might be just a touch stronger than I want it to be. Woo! Late. I don't know if I need any brake there. I might. Oh, gotta take the right line there though. I don't think we got a cut. Really late turn in pretty consistently right now. This will be a better lap. Oh, it looks like we did have an off track. 37. Oh, turn. Oh. I'm sorry, Max. You don't like product testing, do you? Lots of hours. Whew. Force feedback strong. No hands test. Ah, we could do so much better there. Lots of sliding. Oh, off the track. Oh! All right, let's take a little moment to talk about it. Talk about what we feel. And let's see, we ran a 138, so we're still quite a bit off the pace. We'll go ahead and see where that puts us on the leaderboard just for the fun of it, though, as we talk a little bit about what we were feeling. Okay, so again, let's start with just cruising down the straights. I mean, you don't have a lot of center spring, which I mentioned. A lot of wheels will just fight you the minute you come off center. They just want to fight you, but they're fighting in a way that's almost unnatural, where they just want to pull it back to center. In this case, what you're feeling is the fighting of the friction of the tires more than anything else. Let's see, we're only 175th on the board. So if you feel like seeing what you have and what you can do, we're going to give it a little more work, I think, but still 1 day, 21 hours left on this competition, but it's the community event, and it's the Caterham 7 620R at Oschersleben A course, and I ran a 138.039. We'll have to see if we can improve on that. We'll probably have to load up one of these ghosts, actually, and get something to kind of, we'll see how much faster they really are. We'll pick VP Ace and do that. So yeah, anyway, and I notice we have music playing, so let's go ahead and pull that out and see if that prevents us from losing our stream. Let's see here. I'm going to go for that. Hey, Smooth, thank you very much. Tablet chat sucks. That sucks. You're getting the DD1. That'll be a great one version, I'm sure. Dr. Respect, don't want to sound all dingy, but it looks like you have your wheel rotation set too high. I think 270 was a nice sweet spot. Dr. Respect, I respect that thinking. I have it at 540. That's probably a little high, but that's traditionally what I've run in project cars. We could try turning it down a little bit. I agree. If anything, it's higher than I'd want, not lower, for sure. Just for S&Gs, absolutely, Chris. Bob Jenkins is sleepy. Lodge of Force, what you missed, and I'll pull it up right now, actually, is I'm using the recommended settings from Fanatec. So these are the recommended Project Cars 2 settings. The only difference is in-game, I'm not selecting a club sport because it mapped everything and wouldn't let me shift. So I switched it back to custom, but I'm still using like the flavor raw, gain 100, volume 60, tone 50, FX 50. Lenny 2, overall I am pleased with the wheel. I mean, I'm not going to give you guys any clues as to the review, but you're kind of going through the process with me. You're seeing what it's like, how I acclimate, what happens, how the whole experience is. But for me, things that I judge a wheel first on, I really like wheels that turn smoothly. When you just don't feel any unnecessary friction in the movement, you can talk about sitting there doing it static, or you could talk about being on track. It's not the power of the force feedback I'm talking about in that moment. It's the smoothness. Is there secondary resistance? Is there internal resistance that is causing the wheel to be robbed of the force feedback you feel? That's the first thing I really want. Next thing is, I want something rigid. I want a wheel that when I torque on it, as strong as this S1 chassis is, when I torque on it, you gotta expect some kind of a movement out of this type of a design. And I see it, but I'm not seeing it blatantly just sitting here built up into the clamp, which I'm still a little confused about the clamp mechanism and this whole tighten down the back. But the end result works. I mean, I'm getting just a hint of wiggle right there. None up and down. It's only when I get out here, maybe it would be a little more expressed on a wider wheel rim. So those are the first concerns, especially when I'm getting into a direct drive wheel. I want rigidity. I want smoothness. That is just, without that, forget it, you know? So mission accomplished there, just like you get out of an OSW, a Sim Experience, or even a Bodner. And I don't think there's a huge difference there depending on what type of a connector. Some connectors a little more rigid. Same thing with wheels. When you get a setup this strong, it starts to expose wheel flex, where it's actually the wheel itself that starts flexing. So let me turn that back off so you guys can see what's going on here. Now, so just doing this, we're not getting any smoothness issues, any resistance that we don't expect. The other thing is when we are in static condition, sitting here, I talk like there is just a hint, you know, and you're going to feel this on just about any wheel in the world. Certain amount of just indentations, certain, I don't want to call it cogging, that's not what it is really, but you can feel the little spots where the wheel magnets are kind of sticking a little bit, but you don't feel that at all when you're in the car. So that doesn't affect me. Like right here, no matter how delicately I do it, I am not feeling those. When you talk about a belt drive or a gear drive wheel, at this moment you would still, if you grab the wheel really gently, you would feel just a little click, click, click. Some people on those types of wheels will actually feel like there's a center spot that they're actually kind of riding on the middle of at times. You get none of those kind of feelings whatsoever. Now, once we're rolling in the car, at this moment, I'm feeling a lot when I'm coming off center, like I'm resisting the wheels, and then as soon as the speed increases, you can see it goes lighter. So when I talk about the usable forces, that's what I'm talking about. Do you feel that resistance that you can drive against when you're trying to work that car and get that rear end moving and turning with the car? Can you play with the throttle and know what you're doing, not just visually? That, in this case, we want it in our force feedback, and we need it at a strong enough and fast enough rate to be able to use it. So when I was talking about the functional force feedback, that's exactly what I'm talking about. That feeling of slip and slide, where you know what the car's doing and when and how to catch it. Especially like this long corner where you're just sideways. I'm just drifting it all the way around that corner. And you felt that kick, you saw that kick right there. Now, what am I not feeling? There's no vibration in the motor whatsoever right now. So as I'm going down the straightaways, this is a lifeless wheel. Now, some would say that's the way it should be. Some would say it shouldn't. There's a hint of a rumble. You can see just a little hint of effect going on. But when you're gripping the wheel, it's barely enough to even feel. Now that is a Project Cars issue. Issue's the wrong word. That is a Project Cars force feedback. The wheel is transmitting what is being delivered to it. You know, the wheels aren't trying to filter out any of the force feedback signals for the most part. That's sort of counterproductive. They are interpreting those signals into movements. So when you're not getting a lot of feedback noise from the road. Now the other thing, no Logitech death wiggle. So with lower force feedback, now when I had monster force feedback, it was taking over on the wheel when I let go. But under the Fanatec settings, we're not getting any oscillation during straightaways. That's good. Rumble strips, it's hard to tell because I don't know if these are painted. We'll have to test a little more on that to know that kind of rumble strip effect. But what you do notice is friction side pull. So concrete's very smooth and friction-free. Grass tends to be slippery when you're sliding, but it also will pull the car. It slows down the right-hand wheels and actually pulls you into the grass. Getting a really good effect on that, which gets back to some of that usable force feedback feeling that I was getting. Now, one thing I'm not getting is a lot of chatter under lockup of the brakes. And I will say that that's something I use in my force feedback to help me do better braking. Some of it's audio, sure, you're listening for those signals of the locked up tires. Some of it's visual, you're looking for that shaking. And some of it is, I like to get a little of the feeling. Now, when it crossed up the steering there, when I locked up the wheels, and the wheels caught a direction, I felt that. And anybody who's done that in real life knows that effect, and it's quite scary, actually. So again, let's lock up the tires. No shake notifying me, but you could see that when the wheels were being pulled, so was my steering wheel. So all of that is really good. I'm still not 100% calibrated to the wheel, still not 100% calibrated to this car and track, because let's face it, I spend more time iRacing, so that's the sim that I just know by touch, by feel, and a moment's notice. With this, I'm still trying to figure out how does the speed of the wheel. It doesn't feel slow. I don't feel like I'm necessarily behind the wheel. I felt for a few laps I was behind the sim more than the steering wheel. Definitely feel. You can see the acceleration of the wheel. So when I start wobbling it down the straights like that, you can see the weight of the car moving the steering wheel. Oh, more in my hands. It's the resistance you're feeling. So again, it's not going to do any crazy oscillations on its own. But when you're putting fight on the wheel, I'm feeling that sway a lot more than when I let go. But that's because I'm going beyond the grip point and getting to that point where you're fighting the suspension, the friction of the tires on the road. Does this car have a handbrake? I'm not sure if that was or not. Okay, yeah, crash effect. That's one thing we haven't really played with. I didn't feel much kick out of the crash there. Definitely feel a little cockeyed on the steering. Yeah, it definitely seems like certain effects are muted. We're going to change our combination in a moment here. Try IndyCar at Long Beach, perhaps. Well, you can see the wheels cockeyed from the damage. That's good. You'd expect and want that. You can actually feel the extra pull on the wheel as well. All right, yeah, let's try another combination. Let's try some IndyCar at Long Beach just for the heck of it. You know, and different cars have different force feedback values as well. Some cars have more power steering. I believe it relies more on the game force feedback. I mean, the wheel is just throwing out its own interpretation of the game's signals. That's why a lot of times when you play like totally blatant Xbox only games, they'll have very, very muted force feedback for that reason. Custom race. All right, let's see here. Let's do Long Beach. We're going to do Long Beach. And we're going to do the IndyCar. Project Cars 2. Oh, never mind. Neo Knight, thank you. Brandon, I can't answer that question yet. How does it compare to an LSW? If you were there for when I was describing certain things. It's comparable in overall power. It's comparable in smoothness. It's comparable in rigidity. Lighter force feedback in the IndyCar. Whoa. Hey, get out of my way! Go in the pits!
The TV monitors are showing you've got some aero damage.
Oh, we got aero damage, damn it. Same sort of thing. Kind of a little bit lifeless in terms of just the road effect and just that action of being going on. But again, when we even looked at Codemasters, we didn't even have throttle, but you could see there's a lot more activity in the wheel. It's just, I feel Project Cars is just a little light in its force feedback signal and in the amount of effects that I'm getting transmitted to the wheel. And what I'm going to have to do before I could really give you a good comparison's sake is I'd have to throw my sim experience on here right after driving this. You know, that's the thing. You get so dialed in on a wheel that you just know it. You're not thinking about its effects. And now I haven't driven this combination in a while, and I need to do the back and forth, be reminded, hey, maybe before I say that it feels muted, is that a result of the connection with the Fanatec, or is that a result of Project Cars 2? I didn't feel that way in the trucks and iRacing, and I didn't feel that way in Codemasters, even though we couldn't get our pedals calibrated. We were, well, still able to feel the force feedback. Not getting nearly as much force feedback as I was in the Caterham. So, like, even on turn-in, so it's muted, as I said. We're feeling some of the bumpiness of the road, for sure. Definitely feeling the bumpiness of the road. I'm not getting as much feeling of back and forth. Really very, very, very light.
That's your best first sector so far. Nice one.
Turn. Whoa. See a little bit of steering lag between the wheel on screen. That could be a result of rotation differences though too. I didn't feel it in terms of, I don't feel like there's a delay in my steering request to the car. All right, so, excuse me. Similar in that, again, a little muted on that one. Codemasters, it was very alive. In iRacing, even in the trucks, which is a fairly muted vehicle as far as what you get force feedback-wise in a lot of respects, you could feel every bump of the track in iRacing. So far, I think what we're experiencing here is just a product of getting things dialed in more. We're gonna have to work on some settings. My force feedback was a little high in the Caterham, but it was a little low in the IndyCar. That's that. That kind of gives you the thoughts and opinions so far. Now this is again just day 2 of testing. I'm gonna come back and make some changes, go through some other forum posts, and maybe try some other settings and try to get it to where I feel like we're getting a little more life and action. But I'm going to keep going through sim by sim, giving the wheel a chance. I think next up we're going to go with Assetto Corsa, will probably be the next test. And then some R-Factor Race Room, want to give that a shot as well. So we're going to keep breaking it down. And then if I do a round 2 and learn anything as far as settings go, we're definitely going to do that. Like, for example, I'll do some offline work on trying to get my pedals up and running and do another version of Codemasters with the recommended settings from Fanatec. So again, when we look at that, I've been given, and I'll dig for a little deeper on others, but here I've got the Project Cars settings. Here I have the iRacing settings, which we did use, and then I thought I had a third one. I must have closed it already. Codemasters. We had the Codemasters one somewhere. So we're going to keep looking for that as well as we move through and do Assetto Corsa next. PC without jack spade force feedback is pretty bland. In some sims, I agree with you, and a lot of people have made that recommendation, but at the same time, that's next level. You know, my first tier of testing has to be on what the recommended settings from the manufacturer are, because that's what 9 out of 10 people, if they're lucky enough to dig through the forums and find them, are going to use. 8 out of 10 people might just use the default settings, which could be terribly wrong, and much more so. That's one other thing I'll tell you. Like, default settings on a club sport base are going to hurt you a lot more than default settings on this big badass base. You're going to have to get things tweaked and right, and it made a huge difference. In Codemasters, I didn't even get to the point where I was comfortable yet. I had so much force feedback. Talking to the guys at Fanatec, well, they recommend not running full force feedback through the wheel. So that gets back to using the recommended settings. And then from there, we'll move on to things like the jack spade settings, things like that. What's the track? That was Oschersleben. It's the community event right now on Project Cars 2 on the PC. 1 day, 20 hours left on that event. So if you want to see what you could do, I was like 135th. You'll see me on the leaderboard under Sean Cole. So you can go see what you can do. I'll probably go back and give it another shot. I like leaderboard challenges. They make for good fun when you have nothing else really scheduled. So anyway, any other questions before I bring this one to a close? I did try the trucks. I did Kumo yesterday. I did 3 different streams. I did an unboxing. I did a get it set up on the rig. And then the third one was actually a truck race. I did a full race with the wheel. And it did very, very well in iRacing. So is this your best DD wheel trip? I'm not sure I understand the word trip there. I have used a handful of different DDDs. I'm not ready to declare this one in its position just yet. Because again, a lot of the testing I've been doing have been just getting going. If I were to compare this to my sim experience, I spent months. My latest memory of my sim experience is based on a wheel that I've spent months getting dialed in for every sim, every car. Half the time we're getting things going here today, we're still mapping controls, trying to get things right. If I were to compare this to my Leo Bodner, same thing. I spent months or years getting that one dialed in to the point where I just have it so nice. And so my latest, greatest memory is just of when it was in its perfect mode. Day 1, day 2, you're not there. I mean, maybe if we just concentrated on one sim, got completely dialed in, we could start to get there. But even then, I'd want to switch back and forth to give you a really valid opinion. I don't know about other reviewers. Maybe they're more sensitive than I am. Maybe they have a better lasting memory than I do. But for me, it's really important to not just go on some faint memory. It's like, no, I really want to compare them. That's why, as a reviewer, if you notice the Simpit, I'm never trying to be the first reviewer out there getting a review done. That's the difference of what we're doing today. We're trying to get some video games so you guys can hear the process. You can hear the real words used when I'm doing initial testing. Things like, well, it kind of feels dead, that might not have made it through the full review at the same time. So that's why I'm kind of letting you guys in behind the scenes on this kind of opportunity here. So I hope you enjoy that. The screws on the bottom are M6, and I'm using the Fanatec triangular pattern. There are 5 holes on the bottom. I don't have the pictures handy. I showed them on yesterday's stream. If you look up the setup video, I show you the bolt pattern on the bottom, and I show you mounting it to this rig. There are also, I think someone said M8 side mounts. If you bought probably one of the mini mounts for direct drive wheels, you work just fine with that one. Did not come with any screws at all. So no, you're on your own there, but I happen to have a ton of hardware around here, not a problem. So any last minute questions before we bring this one to a close? Oh, hey buddy, what's up? It's pretty close. Jazz, now it's close. It's handling the main features well. Strength, rigidity, and smoothness. Those are the big 3. Functional force feedback. Even in project cars, the force feedback was a little not as refined as, say, in iRacing. But next up, we're going to give it a shakedown and Assetto Corsa and see how that plays out. So that'll be next. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to do another one. I got to take the dog out. I got to get some food in me. I got to rest a little bit, too. But I'm glad. I hope everything looked and sounded good, because we were having troubles yesterday. Side holes are M8. Thank you, Neo Knight. Comes with glue and a brick. That's what you hold it down. The brick was the power supply. That thing was giant. Is there a vibration on the wheelbase? Robert, I was getting very, very little vibration. So there's none in terms of like the old shaker motors they used to use in the wheel rims. None of that kind of vibration. I was a little disappointed in the like road noise that I was getting in Project Cars 2. iRacing was a little bit better. Codemasters I couldn't tell yet because we're still just driving in total madness. Oh, you guys aren't seeing it, but that boat over there, I've been on that cruise ship. That's Long Beach. I've been on that boat from that exact port. Anyway, that's going to do it for this one. Thank you for being here. If I get a chance, we will be back demonetized for music. Yeah, that could happen on this one. I hope not, Tim. Yeah, I'd have a hard time making the decision, Josh. If you need that multi-functionality, that's very cool. Oh yeah, the static shifter holes. Who wants that? I don't. Not me. Anyway, all right, you guys. I'm going to bring this one to an end. I got to go eat. I got to take the dog out. Have a great weekend. Get out there, do some racing yourself. And like I said, we'll be back next with some Assetto Corsa. If I get a little energy spike, we'll do that tonight. Otherwise, we'll probably do that first thing tomorrow morning. And then keep them coming. We'll go from that into our Factor Race Room. We're going to get through all of our favorite sims, all the way to the point we've tried it in Wreckfest and everything else. So before we're done, we will have tried this sim in just about every driving combination there is on planet Earth. So that's going to do it for this one. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being part of the pit crew. This is the Simpit. I'm Sean Cole, and I'll see you on the track.